Great, great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome once again. I would just do a bit of a roll call. Welcome, Loazi. Welcome, Valentina. Welcome, Zinkleji. And we have Tabitha joining us, and we have a wonderful guest, Amanda, all the way from the UK. We're so happy to have you here. And yeah, perhaps, Amanda, you could just, let's see, turn on your video. Let's see you. Let's hear you.
Hey everyone, I hope everyone's okay. I hope you guys can see me. Hi.
Now we can see you.
Oh, nice.
Now we can see you. Thank you for joining us today, Amanda.
Thank you so much for the invite. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Awesome. So we're going to get started. Like I said, welcome everybody. We are so happy to have you joining us today on this Thursday evening for our mental health conversations and God. Let's not forget God, because at the end of the day, we see that no matter what we go through, at the bottom of it all, we found that, you know what, God has always been there. He's been, leading and guiding. He's been giving strength where it's been needed. And so we cannot forget God in these conversations. And so we are Propositive Innovators and Propositive Foundation, and we are the people that are powering these mental health conversations. As an organization, we believe that mental health is a vital subject that we should be talking about, because everybody experiences a certain level of mental unhealth. And so we come together every Thursdays to have these conversations, to speak on what we have gone through, how we have overcome, and how we can give hope to others. And so welcome once again. And we are here today with Amanda. Amanda, I would just give a bit of a bio description of who Amanda is. So Amanda is a multi-award winning model and media personality. She is also a philanthropist, and she is the founder of, please do correct me if I don't pronounce it correct, but I will do my best. She is the founder of the Ngcono Foundation. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Awesome.
you did.
Awesome. So, Amanda, let's get right into the wonderful conversation. I would just give you a moment to just greet everybody and just say hi to everybody this evening.
Perfect. I'm going to unmute myself. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing conversation where everyone is in the world. I'm not sure where you guys are, in South Africa, Zim, the UK, wherever you guys are. Thank you so much for joining in. It's lovely to talk to people. It's lovely to connect to people all over the world. That's why we're here. We're on this earth to meet people, or on this earth to talk to people, and just, yeah. So thank you so much. And hello to everyone. I wish I could see you guys all in person and just give you a big hug, but hopefully one day.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And so, Amanda, let's get right into the conversation, right? So your foundation works with young girls, right? That's what your foundation is about. You're just passionate about helping the young African girl. Let's start there. Why did you get started with that? What's the heart behind it?
I think that's a question that I get so much that my answer is always a bit the same, but I add something to it. So the reason is why is purpose. I think God has given me this kind of platform to make sure I inspire the next generation of women and to inspire the girl child. I think when I started Ngcono Foundation, I think we had a conversation last time. I started off as just a project, as just a one-off. Like, I'm just going to do a project. I'm going to go home. I'm going to donate some pads. I'm going to do a workshop, and then I'm just going to go back to England. And that's it. But then I think when God puts something in your heart and he wants you to do something, he's going to give you everything possible to do it. So I turned that one project that I did back in 2019 into a whole foundation in itself. And I think the girl child in Africa especially, it needs a voice. It needs someone to advocate for them. It needs someone to stand up for them. It needs someone to be like, what is happening to them sometimes is wrong, and it needs a voice. And I kind of wanted to be a voice and somehow change, the future of young women within our African culture, especially within Africa. I can only talk about Africa really because I'm an African girl myself. I'm from Zimbabwe. I was born in Zimbabwe and I came to the UK when I was about 3-4 years, but I still go back to Zimbabwe Zimbabwe quite a lot, and my foundation is based in Zimbabwe. And just the importance, I say the future is female. So for us to kind of embed the future as female, we need to build the next generation of young women, and it starts back home. It starts with where you're from, and it's been an amazing experience. I get to meet so many. I don't know how many young girls I've met. It could be thousands, in the thousands by now, because I've met girls within Zimbabwe. I've done projects in Ghana, and I've done projects in Tanzania as well with young women. So the amount of women that I've met up to now is insane, and I'm so glad and I'm so blessed that God has put this especially in my heart, because it's something I'm so passionate about. I'm passionate about girls' education. I'm passionate about girls thriving and not falling into the stigma, and into the stigma of that they have to get married, they have to have kids, and that's it for them. There's more to life than that. And I understand within our culture, maybe we've been brought up and been told that's the way forward, and there's nothing wrong with that culture, but I want girls to also know that they have options. They have options to say no. Their body, their right. So if something's not right with them, no one else is entitled to their body but them, which is sometimes I think is another lesson which gets kind of brushed to the side. And that's why we have a very high child marriages. That's why we have a lot of high sexual STDs, HIV, a lot of things that are happening with young women, because people don't want to talk about these subjects. People just want to kind of brush them. And so that's the main reason. It gives me, it's a passion of mine. I want to build the next generation of powerful and strong women. It's important that I'm a part of that conversation.
No, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing that and we were literally talking about this over the weekend, that these mental health conversations have actually opened us up to the good that's actually in the world. We live in our own little bubbles, where you assume that what we're seeing on the news is the only thing that's going on, and there's so much negativity going around. And so to speak to you and to hear about your passion of helping others outside of yourself really does show that there is good out there, and there are people who are actually putting themselves out there to just be a better version of the previous generations, and to help others move forward. I just want to ask a quick question, Amanda. I think often we take what we have for granted. We take our standing, our social standing for granted. We take the things we have for granted. Why sanitary pads specifically? Why did you feel like that's the thing that you want to really give back on?
I think doing a lot of research before I started the foundation, I think so I grew up in the UK, right? So I think there's a big difference is when going back home, everything here to us is very accessible. You can walk in and get pads, pads are cheap and stuff like that. But when I realized going back home and reading stories and doing research and understanding that sometimes girls are not going to school because they don't have pads and they don't have enough money, and their family doesn't have money to wear pads, and they're using other things like they're using tissue, they're using animal skin, and using all sorts of other things when they should be using pads because they don't have the money and the resources to buy the pads. That kind of thought to me that like pads should be free all over the world. That's my standpoint of that. Menstrual pads should be free, and menstrual products should be free all over the world. Because if you generally can't afford it, then what can you do? It's it's our body. It's just the type of month. It's the time of month for us young ladies that happen once a month. So it's like we can't stop it. And there's nothing we can do to kind of stop it. So how do we get these young ladies to make sure that they feel comfortable and they feel safe? And if you look at it, if a girl is not able to buy a sanitary towel and she's leaving or she's not going to school, that means she's missing a week, maybe a week or 5 days every month. And that builds up, that she gets lost behind school and she wants to give up. And there's just so many things of just, we could sometimes take for granted of just going into the shop and just buying a pack of pads. There's generally some people and some girls that are not able to afford that. Some girls who are not in the financial region, or their family are not financially stable, or they don't have family. So there's a lot of different reasons why girls can't afford it. And right now in Africa, that's one of the biggest things. Whether it's in Ghana, whether it's in Tanzania, whether it's in Nigeria, a lot of these countries that I've visited, or I've connected with other girls and other organizations, they say the same thing. Pads, the period poverty within Africa is very heavy. And to me, I don't understand, why is that not something that people are screaming about and shouting about and saying that and demanding more to be done about? Because like I said, this is something that happens to women once a month and we can't help it. So why is not someone doing something to help us as well, and the young girls that can't afford these products? So that was the particular reason of why that I thought sanitary towels are very important. And it's something that we're working on in our foundation to actually going into reusable, because reusable pads are, I think, are the way forward, especially because they last up to 1 to 3 years, no matter if you look after them properly. So you get a pad and they last as long as you wash them and you look after them. So that's something that my foundation is currently looking into, to kind of go into a path of reusable pads, because it's so well and good going to give pads and give them maybe 2-3 packs, but what happens after then? They're still going to need it for the other 6-7 months. So it's kind of putting our heads together to kind of think of other ideas outside the box. And I know other products like tampons and the menstrual cup are still a bit touch and go, especially within Africa. I know a lot of people, how do I say it? A lot of people are not there yet within that conversation. So sometimes when I do go to school, they ask what type of products I'm bringing, and sometimes I've only ever given pads because I know tampons are still a bit of a taboo subject. Because I think sometimes they put tampons and they think and they put 2 and 2 together and think something else, whereas tampons is just another form of a menstrual topic. So it's like, I know, but I think tampons again could be a way forward as well. But I know it's still a very hit and go miss when it comes to tampons.
Getting there. Yeah. No, I hear you. And, like you say, the governments actually should be doing more about this.
Of course.
Because you go to your local clinic, you go to, like I know here in South Africa, at most municipal clinics, you will find free condoms. However, we don't have free sanitary pads, whereas sex is an option, but your periods are not. How is this not adding up? You get what I mean? And so I hear you, and I do agree that governments should be doing more. We should be saying more about this. But just from a mental health perspective, you have met thousands of girls, as you have said. From a mental health perspective, what have you learned and what have you seen, after talking to these girls, the effects of the lack, the effects of the poverty, that they cannot even afford their basic needs? What effect does that have on their mental health and their self-esteem?
Yeah. So another thing that we focus on within our workshop is mental health and how they see themselves as well, and their self-worth. Because I feel like, because I've met so many young women and so many women and so many girls, sometimes I feel like there's a conversation missed when it comes to young women and mental health, especially within our African region, because everyone's thinking, oh no, you'll be fine. Oh no, she's just, she's fine. She'll be fine. But sometimes these girls are really going through it. And I've had girls tell me a lot of stuff. I have a lot of girls that confide in me and tell me a lot of things that they're going through. And a lot of them are going through depression. They're going through anxiety. Some of them have a very low self-esteem and very low self-worth as well. And I think sometimes the conversation of mental health is not really talked about a lot. It's talked about, but it's not really kind of, people are still understanding. And especially when it comes to these young girls, a lot of them are suffering with like very low self-esteem, and the way they even see themselves is not in a good light. Some of them see themselves in a very low light and a very low self-esteem because of what they're going through. They feel that they're stuck. They can't afford pads. Maybe their family can't afford this, that their family can't afford school fees. They see their friends doing this. They see their friends who they've got new hair, they've got new this, and they might feel, okay, am I not good enough? Maybe there's something wrong with me. And I think a lot of the times, a lot of these girls are suffering anxiety, they are suffering depression, and maybe even more mental health problems that they haven't been diagnosed with, or maybe and stuff like that. And because mental health is such a sensitive topic, I think, within our culture, because no one wants to kind of talk about mental health is real, and people actually do have mental health. People do have depression, people do have bipolar, people do have borderline personality disorder. There's so many different types of mental health that people have, and because we don't want to talk about it and we don't want to address it, and people are like, oh no, she's fine, she's just overreacting, oh no, she's just upset, she'll be fine. But if you're upset every single day and you wake up upset every single day for long periods of time, that's showing signs that there's something could be wrong. That's showing signs of depression. That's showing signs of anxiety. A lot of girls I've met as well that are very worried to speak out. A lot of girls that I met are worried about, if I speak out and say that I'm suffering or I'm struggling with this particular thing with my life, people will judge me. People tell me that, look to God. People tell me that I'm not praying enough. My family will say that again, that I'm not praying enough, that I'm not doing the right thing. So a lot of these girls, I think, end up kind of being closed in. And one thing I did notice when I do a lot of these workshops and I go to donate back home, they want to be free and they want to ask the questions, and they have a lot of questions to ask, but I feel like sometimes they're not given the space to ask these questions because they're worried.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't ask that question. If I ask that question, oh no, if I ask a question about sex, what, everyone's going to look at me, everyone's going
Yeah.
to judge me. If I ask a question about, you know, HIV or pregnancy, or maybe I'm in a situation with this guy and I don't know what to do, I don't know if this is right, I'm too scared to ask because someone's going to judge me. So I feel like sometimes, you know, a lot of these young girls have a lot they want to ask, but they don't know where to go to ask. They're worried that people are going to judge them. They're worried that people are going to tell their parents and stuff like that. And it affects their mental health because imagine you as a young girl at 16. I don't know if you guys can take back the times when you were 16, but I remember the time when I'm 16 and 17, and there was a lot going on. You know, you're 16, you're 17, you're still in school, you don't really know where life is going, you're growing up, you're going through puberty. There's so many different changes that are happening to you, that happening to your body, and it has a big effect on your mental health. So think about, I always put myself in these shoes of how I felt when I was 14, 15, 16,
Yeah.
17 and stuff like that. So it does have a lot of impact on their mental health as well. I think sometimes because maybe it's not talked about and people don't want to share their feelings, or they shy away from sharing their feelings, you know, they're kind of like, oh, I'll just stick it to myself, I'll just keep it to myself, you know, I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. And a lot of them end up, you know, like end up building up all this, building up, and not having anyone to talk to, not having a shoulder to lean on. So what I do try when I am back home to ask these girls, you know, be open, be free. You know, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to kind of tell you off. I'm here just to advise you and kind of take the big sister role. I'm here to kind of tell you, okay, maybe this is how you should do it, or maybe this is another way you should do it. And if you're going to do that, make sure if you're going to practice sex, make sure you're practicing it safely. Make sure that you're consenting to it. Make sure you've consented to having sex with someone. Make sure that person respects you, respects your body, respects how you feel and stuff like that. So just little conversations like that, I think, are very necessary and needed, especially for these young girls and the generations of girls, and understanding that, you know, mental health is okay. It's okay to have anxiety and depression. It's okay. People have their own struggles. People have their own battles, and you can get out of it. But my worry is sometimes these girls just keep it in and in and in and in and in, and they never have anyone to really turn to, and it has a big effect on their mental health because if you don't address stuff now as a young as a young girl, let's say, you're going to get to the age of 25, 26, and stuff is going to bottle up. You're going to be thinking, oh my gosh, I dealt with this when I was 14. Maybe something happened to me when I was 14 years old and I've never really dealt with it. You're 30, now you're thinking the way you have relationships, things when it comes to, like, you know, not addressing mental health from a certain standpoint. So yeah.
No, I hear you, because literally, you know, to what you have just said now, I was just thinking about that to say, for most of us, whether you're male or female, you know, for most of us, the things that we could not voice up about, we couldn't, yeah, are still the things that affect us now. We've got, especially in Africa, we've got grown women that deep down are still just little girls who were never given an option. They were never given a choice. They were never given an opportunity to say, do you want to do this? You know? And so, you know, to what you're saying, you know, also recently, the thing that I've seen that from a believer's perspective, right? We talk about deliverance and we assume that, you know, deliverance is just the laying on of hands. It's just praying about it. It's about going to the pastor. But I've also seen that information is a form of deliverance. You only as free as what you know. You get what I mean? And so for you to take this opportunity to really go out and take time to talk to these girls and tell them that you've got an option, you can choose, you can ask questions, so that at least we are breaking, you know, the cycle that we keep on seeing in our society. And so that's absolutely amazing, Amanda, that you're doing that, and that you are cultivating healthy environments for other people, for other girls to thrive, for other girls to say, look, there is hope out there. There is help out there available. And right now, help is presenting itself right before me. And I'm going to use that opportunity. And so, just to go further into the conversation and talk more about you, Amanda, I know that you do work with young people, you work with youth, you work with teenagers. From that standpoint, what are some of the things that you have learned, right? Because, for example, we do these mental health conversations every week.
Mhm.
And I have seen that more than anything, these conversations have helped me. We might come on here saying we want to help others, but you walk away learning more about yourself. You walk away thinking, wow, I can actually improve in this area and that area. How, as working with young people and seeing what they go through, the struggles that they go through from a mental health perspective, from just puberty, from just social pressures, how has that impacted your life?
I think it's impacted my life for the better. I think this teens, young people is really the age group that I think I thrive in the most. And I really see, because as coming from a young person growing up, I know the struggles of being a young person. I know how heavy mental health can be at such a young age. I know how much having maybe gone through something traumatic, how much it can affect the way you grow up as well, the way that you build relationships with people, the way you are with people, the way you communicate, the way like you move in the world because of something that's probably happened to you when you're younger. So I think working with teens and working with youth has probably been the biggest blessing, because I can see from their perspective what they're actually going through, and I can relate to them sometimes. Oh, okay, I've maybe gone through that. Oh, you're going through. And how important it is to talk about our feelings. I think growing up within our culture, sometimes we're told not to really talk about our feelings and not to talk about how we feel and not to talk about our mental health, because we don't want to be seen as crazy, we don't want to be seen as mad, or all them words that people use. And it's sometimes and it's shown me how important it is to let young people to actually say how they're really feeling and to say what's bothering them. And even if it might be a small thing to them, at least they have something to say. Because I feel like sometimes we are told, because we're told so much not to say anything, we keep everything in here. And when we're keeping everything in here, then we're building stuff up, we're not letting it out, we're not finding a solution for it, because we just keep thinking, oh, I don't want to bother anyone, oh, I don't want to tell anyone, because if I tell someone, they might think I'm bothering them as well. Or if I tell my friend might think I'm crazy, or my friend might think I'm insane, or stuff like that. So I can see how much of working with young people, and how much as well, motivating them that you might feel like this now, it's okay to feel like this. Because sometimes I think people might feel like, why do I feel like this? I shouldn't be feeling like this. I'm blessed, I've got everything. I've got a house on a roof over my head, I've got food, I go to
I
school,
think she's
I have family,
network.
I
Are
have
you still
friends
with us,
that are looking.
Amanda?
Hello?
I'm sorry, you had actually you were frozen for a bit there.
Oh really? Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I was just saying that sometimes, young people might think, okay, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling a sense of sadness? I have a roof over my head, I've got family, I've got friends, I go to school, but why am I feeling so sad? Like, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. And sometimes it's generally okay to tell them that it's okay to be sad. It's okay not to be happy every day, because sometimes I think the world that we live in is everyday positive vibes, good vibes only. Everyone should be positive, wake up and be positive. And it's not possible. It's not humanly possible for you to wake up every day and feel good. I don't know if and maybe some people do it, but personally, I know it's not every day that I wake up and feel good. Probably 5 times out of 7 days a week, I don't feel too good, but I still wake up and still go about my day. And telling young people that, it's okay to try again tomorrow. If it doesn't work today, try again tomorrow. And also offering young people support, because there's a lot of resources out there that can help with mental health. I think it's just taking the first step for them to understand, okay, maybe something's going on, that you might need to see a therapist, you might need to see counseling or something. It's okay to get help, because I think growing up, it was very hard for me to ask for help, or ask for, like, okay, something's going on. Like, if I ask for help, then everyone's judging me. Then if I ask for help, then something's definitely wrong with me. But sometimes asking for help is probably the best thing that we can do for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. There's nothing wrong being on medication. There's nothing wrong with seeing someone for something that we're going through, because they're there to help. And just encouraging young people that it's okay to reach out. It's okay to reach out to these services as well. Your mental health is really, 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 really important. I read a quote the other day: the wealthiest thing that you can have right now is your peace of mind. And how important it is to have peace of mind, There's nothing better than just
Mm-hmm.
feeling free within your mind as well. The world that we live
Yeah.
in is very fast paced. We're going at 100 every single day. We're doing this, we're at work, we're at church, we're seeing friends, we're socializing. Sometimes, and we're doing all this without a peace of mind. And I think the best thing that you can
Mm-hmm.
do is work on your peace and work on your peace of mind as well. So it's important that we encourage
Mm-hmm.
that to young people as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, so that's so true. Um, and your peace of mind is the only wealth that you really have outside of everything
Yeah.
else. The fact that you can wake up and just be at peace with the world. And so just to take the conversation a bit further, like we said in the beginning, you are a model, and that
Yeah.
has to do with your image because you're literally putting yourself out there, you putting yourself out there for people to sometimes scrutinize, for some people to judge, and for some people to basically say what they want to say, especially, in the age of social media. People just feel like they have a free pass at you. And so within your field, and you're a young lady, how do you keep your mental health intact? How do you work on building your self-esteem and maintaining that outside of everything else that you do?
Yeah. Oh, such an important question. How do I keep? Well, I cry a lot. I cry a lot, but I'm doing better because when I first started, I used to cry so much. My mum is my witness. Like
Mm-hmm.
every little comment would get to me because people can be really horrible. And I think if you're like me and you
Yeah.
have a really sensitive soul, because I have such a sensitive soul, I do feel things here. I feel things, and people are like, oh, just don't think about it. But it's like, why did they say that? They didn't need to say that. And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
when you're on social media and you do put yourself out there for people to judge you, to people to talk about you, you never know what people are going to say. Not everyone's going to be friendly, not everyone's going to be nice. But I think the best thing I learned was to not take everything personally. I think that's one of the best things that mom ever taught me, was not to take everything personally. Like if someone's got to say something, just let them say it, and just let it go, let it go. Because sometimes you keep things in and you're like, why did that person say that to me? Like they didn't need to say that. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of it helped me talking to God. I think because at first I was like, God, I don't understand why people are so horrible to me. Like I don't do anything. I just do what I need to do and just go home and go about my business. And I think talking to God and being
Mm-hmm.
open about God really helps kind of understand that, sometimes a lot of these people are saying things because they're not happy within themselves, maybe, or,
Yeah.
people are just generally not happy for you. And people have just always got something to say. So just keeping my mental health intact as well, was talking about it. I used to tell my mom, I tell my mom everything, just talking to my mom, talking to my sisters, talking to the people closest to me. Like, you know what? I don't feel really good because, someone says something horrible to me. And just talking to God,
Mm-hmm.
praying all the time and being like, God, I'm out here putting myself out here for the world to judge me and to say whatever, give me that sense of like, okay, they're saying it, but I'm not going to take it personally. As long what I'm doing is in the glory of you, and as long as what I'm doing is what is pleasing you and pleasing myself as well, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest blessing. Everything else is just a comment. Everything else is just someone wanting to say something, someone wanting to be horrible. At first, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, it wasn't easy. I think it took me a very long time to get where I am now, to kind of not take everything personally. Because I think when I first started modeling and started beauty pageants, I did take everything personally, because I used to think there's no need to be horrible. I know people have horrible things to say, but just keep it to yourself. But people generally have no boundaries. People will tell you look horrible. People tell you you're
Mm-hmm.
ugly. People tell you you're too skinny. People tell you you're too big, you're too
Mm-hmm.
dark, whatever. People are just not nice out here. But taking
Yeah.
it in that, you know what, I'm doing this for a purpose. I'm doing this and it makes me happy. That's the biggest thing that I think. As long as it's making you happy, anything else that anyone's got to say, it doesn't really matter. They don't know you.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, they just have a comment to say. So a lot of it was just kind of building myself as well, building my self-esteem. Because I think growing up, I didn't have the best self-esteem. I think, I might seem
Yeah.
bubbly and I might seem confident, but it took me a very long time to get where I am. Because I think growing up from 14, 15, 16, you would never hear me talk. I would always be looking down. I was so shy. You couldn't even ask me. If you asked me for my name, I was shaking because I was like, it's too much for me. Like, why are you asking for my name? So growing up, I was a very, very shy girl. I didn't have a voice. I think I didn't really want to say anything. But, growing up and God giving you a voice and giving you that encouragement as well, and telling you, you can speak up for yourself. You can stand up for yourself. It's okay to
Yeah.
talk and say what you need to say, has helped me a lot. I always say confidence is something that is always constantly evolving. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm confident. Yes, you're confident, but it's still evolving. Like, I'm not the confidence person in the world, but it's something that, because of what I do, I kind of have to show up confident. I kind of have to show up as myself. And sometimes I'm not the most, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to talk, but it's learning. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. I'm glad I'm here now. I'm glad I get to share this, because I think 14-year-old me would never ever do something like this. Talking out loud to people. No, I couldn't do it. But now, now I'm 25 years old. I've had a lot of time to learn. I've had a lot of time to build my self-confidence. I think, when you're seeing these young girls, they want to see a confident young woman. They want to see someone that values themselves. So you have to also learn that within yourself. You also have to have that self. There's no point in me going to tell girls that have self-value, have self-respect, have self-worth if I don't have it for myself, if I don't love myself as well. So making sure you're doing that work to love yourself. And it's not overnight. It's like I said, it's an evolving process. It's an everyday thing that you're constantly learning. Yeah.
We are currently standing at 38 minutes past 7. We do want to get everybody to join into today's conversation. Actually, the topic for today is being the light that the world needs, being the hope that the world needs. And, I just want to ask you, Amanda, in a world where, there are other people perhaps donating sanitary pads. There are other people working with the youth. But what is it in you that keeps you going? And you say that, yes, there could be 1,000 other, lights, other people doing what I'm doing, but I'll keep doing me because this is why I want to do it. What is it? Because I think that for most of us, perhaps, that are on this session today, there is a passion burning inside you. There is a call inside you to say, you know what, you see there's a problem here. You see there's a fault. You see there's a need for somebody to step up and do something. But you look around and you're thinking to yourself, where would I even start? What could I possibly do to make this better? Or, oh, there's already an organization doing it. And so maybe let them do it. It's fine. At least somebody's doing it. Why do you keep showing up?
Thank you so much for your question, sis. I think showing up because it's something that I love. It's something that's put on my heart. I think, like you said, like, it's so easy to get caught up. Someone else is doing it. Oh, that person has an organization, and that person's already doing it. Someone's already donated pads. But it's like, if God has put this in my heart for me to do, why? Who am I to say no to it? Who am I to say no? Actually, I don't want to do it. It's something that I love. It's something that I'm passionate about. I always say, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I think there's so much that I want to pour out into the world. There's another saying that I love, like, I want to leave the world a better place than I found it. So the world right now, I want to leave a legacy. So when I leave this earth one day, I want to be like, okay, I poured into the world. I did something and left a legacy, and I did something good. I made sure that I served others and not just myself, because it's very easy in the world that we live in to just serve ourselves, to gain stuff and do stuff for ourselves. But I truly believe we're here to serve others, and God put us on this earth to be our brother's keeper, to be our sister's keeper, and we're serving other people. And through that, that's through donating pads, that's doing having conversations like this. Anything that you're doing and which is serving others is more than enough. So I'm so glad that God has put something like this, like, because I never thought I would be here doing things like this, talking, traveling to different countries, working with different organizations. This is not something I would have ever thought in a million years. But like I said, when God puts something in you, he will give you the tools, he'll give you the way, he will create a path for you to do that. So I think if you have something, don't, because sometimes people get caught up in like, oh, I can't do it. Like I said, the other person is doing it and I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should come up, and it's okay. It's absolutely fine. How many people are already doing something that people are already doing? It's okay as long as you're doing it and you're doing it with a purpose and you're doing it with a reason why, it's fine. So I think it's just about keep going and understanding why you're doing it. Everyone has a different reason of why they're doing that certain thing. So with my reason, I think it's more to give out and to serve other people. And that's what I've been brought up to do. I grew up in a Christian home where charity begins at home, and service to other people and your brother and your sister is just as important as charity within your own household. And I grew up with that, and I grew up around love and kindness and, giving back. So it's just only natural for me to kind of do that as well outside and pour that into the world. The world that we live in now, there's so much going on, and there's so much darkness, there's so much chaos, and it's nice just to pour some love back into the world. And that's what I think, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're kind of put on this earth to kind of give back as well, the best way we can in our own capacity.
Yeah. And I think to what you're saying, basically it's that reminder to say your superpower is you. No one could, minister to those young girls the way you do, Amanda. Somebody else can try it, but it will never be the way Amanda would have done it. And there will be young women that will grow to be wives and mothers and sisters and friends. And because of the impact that you've made, they'll be like, there was just this one lady who decided she's gonna stop whatever she was doing to come and speak to me, to come and help me. And that changed my life. And because of that, the chain reaction goes on because then they'll see there's a need for me to serve somebody else. And so I love that. I love that you're bringing the perspective of you are not an island. And in as much as you're not an island, you are not here just for you. You are here for others. You are here to serve and not just consume. And the society we live in is such a consumption fueled society. And so to still have, young people who are thinking outside of themselves, for me is still mind blowing. And it's absolutely amazing, Amanda. I'm just going to do a bit of a roll call, and we are also going to just check in on our chat over there to just see what people are saying. But welcome, Ayanda. Welcome, Daliso. Welcome, Dacia. Welcome, Loazi, Valentina, and Zintle once again, and Tabisa, my co-host. And so let me just have a look at what people are saying. And I see here that Valentina was just saying wow, was saying wow to when you were talking about your foundation. She was also just agreeing to your point as we were talking, and Zintle was agreeing, with the question that I asked just now regarding why should you do it even when others are doing it. And so, guys, we want to hear from you. Amanda has shared her passions with us. She has shared what she's doing in the world. And like I said, today's topic is about being the light that the world needs. How has this conversation ignited that passion in you, or at least ignited the need to say, let me support somebody else? If I can't go, I will do what I can to help the other person who is actually going to do more and to reach more people. And so I would just quickly invite my co-host, Tabisa. Perhaps you have a question or you have something you want to contribute to our conversation today. Please do unmute your mic and let's hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, JD, my host, my beautiful host. And thank you so much, Amanda, for coming through and for just like being so beautiful and sharing your story and your journey with us. As an African child, I don't know if I'm going to divert a little bit, but as an African child, we especially as a girl child, you find that not in a lot of homes someone can talk to you about the period where you're going on your periods. You find that some kids are raised a girl child, but they're raised by their fathers, or even their mothers are not comfortable talking about that process. And you find that also because of that, a lot of kids end up having teenage pregnancy because of the lack of education about the fact that this is a stage where you now not just a girl, you are a woman that can have a baby. So we have young girls that are 12 years, 10 years already going on their periods. And for me is how can we as this generation make sure that we give enough education about these things, and make these conversations normal conversations that everywhere. These are the things that we need to talk about, because these things, when you keep them on the silent, the more damage happens on our society at large. So I think that will be just my question to you on how we can normalize these kind of situations and talks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tabisa. Over to you, Amanda. How can we normalize these conversations in our circles before we even think of, the big stage in our circle now? How can we normalize those conversations?
Thank you so much, sis, for your question. I think normalizing these conversations starts from home, because like you said, it's sometimes very difficult within our culture for anyone to talk about them, because everyone's just like, oh, we can't talk about them, it's such a taboo subject. But to me, it's like, it's a taboo subject, but it's still going to happen to these young girls. You know, these young girls are still going to get a period, and if we don't tackle it from younger, this is how we end up with high teenage pregnancy. This is how we end up girls getting pregnant, or STDs, HIV and stuff like that. Is because we are frightened to talk about it. And I think as well, it's a taboo subject within our culture, because we're so scared to talk about it and no one wants to talk about it. And even if we do talk about it, what I've realized as well, we talk about it on a very surface level. So like sometimes going back into schools, even within schools, I've noticed they talk about it on a very, very, very surface level of like, okay, you're about to be on your period. Yes, this is what you do. Okay, yes, don't have sex. Yeah, if you have sex, you get pregnant. But these girls have questions. They need to understand what is the risk of them engaging in sex at a younger age. What's the risk of them engaging in sex? You know, it's pregnancies, it's HIVs, it's STDs. There's so many conversations. And I think if we were more willing to have these conversations with these young girls as well, and be open to them to understand the risks and what happens if they do engage with this, I think there would be a whole different kind of turnover as well. And I think it starts at home as well, within our schools, within our homes, within our churches as well, not to be afraid about these subjects, you know, because I feel like sometimes we're so scared to talk about these subjects, but they're still going on. And this is what I tell people when I'm, you know, doing these talks and back home and in school, that these girls are still, some of these girls will still engage in stuff like this. And it's our job to kind of make sure they understand the risks of what they're engaging in. It's all good to be like, don't do it. But what kids, you know, you're growing up, you know, we can all remember your mom saying, don't do that, and you still going to do it. So this is the same for these for girls. Like, it's only natural if they want to go do it, they're going to do it. But our job is to kind of have these conversations for them to understand their risk and for them to make their own decision of what they're going to do. But when you're taking away their decision, you're taking them away their right for them to kind of make a decision, they're going to do it. And this is how they end up pregnant. And this is how complications end up happening, because we're so scared to have these conversations. And I feel like it's also the jobs within our homes, within the mothers as well. Like, but I understand from generation to generation, it's been like this, and it's up to us, I think, within our generation, because I think our generation right now, we're very open, and I love that about us. I absolutely love that we're able to have these conversations openly, and I think we just need to carry on having these conversations, taking these conversations to church, taking these conversations to events, taking these conversations to school, making sure we're having these conversations with our nieces, with our cousins, with our sisters, and being open, you know, being open about this. And we're not encouraging. That's what I always like to tell people. We're not encouraging young girls to go out there and do stuff. We're just telling them that what will happen if they do, and they should make their own choices if they want to do that or not. So yeah, I think the conversations definitely start within our communities, within our churches, within schools, within our homes as well, and kind of taking away the taboo subject and making it into a normal subject as well.
Yeah, because those conversations then teach our girls that they have options. Saying yes is not the only option, you know? So thank you so much for that response. Amanda, I'm quickly just gonna call on Valentina. She has her hand up. Valentina, please do unmute your mic and let's hear from you. Valentina? Okay, perhaps while Valentina is getting set up, Zinhle, please do unmute your mic and let's hear from you. I see your hand is raised.
Right. Thank you so much, Jidida. And I don't have a question, but I just want to acknowledge Amanda. You know, when she said she's like 25 years old, and just picking at what she has already accomplished, and she's done something that is very great for our young girls, and just giving them hope, and also just showing them that the world is different out there, and there are people that are willing to assist them in their growth and all that. It just took me back to a time, because this is something that I also want to actually do, like be that person that comes and bring back to the community. So I have had as an experience of doing it when I was doing the pageant last year. You know, when I went down to our, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I breaking?
We can hear you.
No,
yeah,
we can hear you
better now. Now you better. We can hear you better now.
Okay. I think my network is not good. But what I'm trying to say is that we need more of Amandas. So I know I want to be one of Amanda. I want to be an Amanda.
When you grow
Yes,
up,
at
you
my
want to be
age,
like Amanda.
I don't know whether it's the other way around now because I have already grown so much, and that's why I'm commending her for actually to be doing this at
Thank
her
you.
age. But I do know that I want to do that. And I did feel when I did donate the sanitary pads, what these girls go through. And it's not even only about the sanitary pads, the environment. You know, when they go to school, some of them, they don't have the proper uniforms. Some of them, they don't have the proper shoes. Those things are mentally damaging because the next child, maybe next to them, they have all these things. So to have people going back, which is what I want to do. Actually, I know that I am going to do it. I'm just that person that always wants to line her things proper because I don't want to start something and then I drop it. I want to start something and then I move with it. Yes. So just to go there and tell them, boost the confidence under the circumstances that they have, get as much as we can to donate back. It's actually very good. So I'm really inspired once more. I'm grateful that I joined this conversation tonight. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Zinhle, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We are happy when we know that the conversations we are having are actually making an impact. Valentina, I just want to check with you. Are you available to speak to us? Because I see your hand is still raised.
Hi. My network is a bit bad. So if I drop
Okay,
off,
it's
don't
alright.
be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jadina. It's been amazing. And for me, to be quite honest, I feel like it was a confirmation from God. I used to do this before when I was still in school. I'm also from Zim and I live in SA. So I used to donate to my friends back in Zim, the ones that I grew up with. And all of a sudden I stopped. And yeah, for me, it was more of like I was actually being selfish because I was like, okay, I don't want this much attention. I don't want to, I was rather thinking about me getting out of my comfort zone and not thinking about what they can benefit. So I believe God works in mysterious ways. I feel like He has called me to serve and to give. And I've been running away from this, but today it got me. It got me. Thank you so much, Amanda, for that. Yeah, I'm just gonna pray upon it and I'm gonna act upon it. Surely, it's Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Valentina. And we will be rooting for you. We will be rooting. And like you said, God is continuously speaking to us and He continues to drop these passions in our hearts for a reason. And so if we reference the Bible does call us, the light of the world and, the salt of the earth and the light of the world rather. And so when you choose to be quiet, not act, you are dimming your own light that God has already placed in you. So don't allow yourself to dim your own light. Allow your light to shine. I'm just gonna ask Loazi, because we do have guys on today's chat. Loazi, please do unmute your mic and let's hear what you take away from this conversation.
Hello, hi.
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 I might break from time to time because I'm actually driving. But wow, Amanda, you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
It's great. It's crazy. This is actually the second time I'm coming across sanitary pad related conversation. Because on Youth Day, I was invited to come and talk to the boys. So when I was there, so I did my part, and the organizer, she did not tell us that, or she did not tell me that she's actually going to also talk about maybe what she's advocating for. And it was about sanitary pads. And for her, it was her story, how she grew up, what she experienced, not being able to go to school because she was on her period. And the first time it happened, she lived alone in a shack in Pietermaritzburg. And so she was at school, and then the incident happened. And for her, it was embarrassing. It was, all of those things that will hurt your self-esteem. And so this thing happened more than once, and then she decided, you know what, I'm just gonna stay at home.
Sure.
Until one of the teachers picked it up, and she started giving her pads. And it got me thinking that, these are the things that we take for granted. Like we don't know that actually they exist. These are real issues, especially in the rural areas or in not so privileged areas, And to have people like Amanda combating this is great news. And I'm hoping that there'll be more people doing this because I mean I think this thing, it really hurts the self-esteem of a child. So yeah, well done, Amanda. This is really really good. It's great to see how this is happening. Second time it is doing it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lwazi, for saying that. Amanda, we are currently standing at 1:08. And so Amanda is also an author, which is something that I did forget to actually mention when I was introducing her. Amanda is an author, and she's recently released a book, and she has communicated that the proceeds from the sale of that book, of the books rather, do go to what her organization does. And so Amanda, as we are closing, I just want to give you a moment to just tell us about the book, tell us how people can get in touch and help, and where can they purchase these books from, and then you can just leave us with your closing statements. Out of everything that we have discussed today, what do you want us to walk away with?
I'll start off with my book, and then I'll give you guys my closing statement. So I have a book. I have a children's book called The Nkomo. So The Nkomo is dedicated to the children all over the world. It's dedicated to especially the children everywhere all over the world. And I love kids. God put it into my heart. I just absolutely adore kids. And doing a children's book was something really important for me. It took 2 years. It was a 2-year process. It's been a while. It's been a very long time to create this amazing book, but I'm so glad it's out. It's basically about spreading kindness and spreading love, and how important it is to teach kids it's okay to show up to the world as themselves. They don't need to be anyone else. They are beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and how important it is to love themselves well, and how important it is from a very young age to tell kids that they are blessed and they are amazing. So that's the basis of the book. It's something very bubbly, something very light, and they just so that's the main reason of the book. And it's like I said, it was a blessing, because it took me such a long time. I had this idea 2 years ago, and then God kept just giving it to me, like, Amanda, don't forget about the book. And I just said, I'll do it another year. I'll do it another year. And I turned 25 this year, and I thought, this is a year that I just wanted it to be a golden year. I've lived here. I've been blessed with 25 years. Who knew I would make it to 25? So I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to give back something special. So the book is available on Amazon and Waterstones, a bookshop here in the UK, but Amazon worldwide. And hopefully I will be coming to South Africa and Zimbabwe just to kind of do a little book tour as well sometime in the year, and just give out some books as well. It's a very, very special project to me. I think, and with everything I've done, this is probably one of the most special projects I've done, because I poured so much love into it, and how much, I want the next generation of children growing up to know that they are wonderfully made, and it's okay for them to be different, and that they are loved as well, that they're cared about, they are beautiful, they are bright, they are smart. So that's the basis of the Newcomer. So and all the proceeds go to charity, just to kind of keep the charity going, and projects within the charity that are going to be given back to schools and girls and boys as well, and the community. So that's the main essence of the book. I just want to say a massive thank you guys to you. I might seem very bubbly, but I was so shy coming here. I don't know why, but I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did come today, and just to spread my light. I can only share my story, and I can only share with you guys, what I've done and what I am doing. The main thing that I want what you guys to take away from this is that your dreams are not too big. Dream big, dream boldly, and make sure you dream big as possible. Dream out loud. That God has put something in your heart for a reason. Trust in him, lean in him. Sometimes we may feel like he's very distant, or we may feel his presence is not around us, but he's there. He's with us every step of the way, and keep going, keep striving, keep pouring love. And if anyone wants to connect with me, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook and stuff like that. So I'm always happy for a conversation and collaborate with anything. And hopefully I'll get to see some of you guys when I come to South Africa later on this year, or Zimbabwe even. And just be out there and just keep sharing your light, and don't let anyone ever tell you your dreams are not valid, because they're very much valid, and God loves you all. Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you once again, Amanda, for saying yes to this. And you're such a wonderful light. And so we appreciate you for even stepping out of your comfort zone and being on here and just pouring out of yourself. We really do appreciate that. And I thank you to everybody that has joined us today. Thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Ayanda. Thank you, Daliso. Thank you, Darsha. Thank you, Loazi. Thank you, Zinhle. As always, we really do appreciate you. Just a quick announcement, guys. Our mental health conversations are now on YouTube. So if you haven't had the time or you miss sessions, please do go on YouTube, check us out, watch the videos, comment, like, and share, and subscribe. We really just want to open up these conversations to everybody, because we want people to know that they're not alone. They're not the only ones going through this. And that, as Amanda has said, their dreams are not too small. They can really do it, and they can go out there and make a difference. We are stepping into the truth of who we are, that we really can be the light that the world needs. And it's not impossible. Amanda has shown us that it's not impossible. And so thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you. Do have a wonderful weekend, and keep safe and keep warm. We love you, and God bless everyone.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a wonderful night. Bye. Thank you for joining, Ayanda.